The next thing we start working on is sensitizing, meaning getting him to move when I ask him to move. And with these, either the young horses or the problem horses, I want them to move off subtle things. I want them to pay a lot of attention to me and move off subtle things. And the first thing we start moving with these horses is their hind end. I'll show you what we do. So when I bend, like I can walk back here and nothing happens, but when I change my body language and do that, right there, he should step across with his hind foot like that. That there's called disengaging. Think about the three big things horses do bad. Bucking, bolting, and what's the other one? Rearing, exactly. All three of those things involve pushing off with both hind feet. Okay, that's where all their power is. That's how they, when they were wild animals, that's how they survived for thousands of years to get away from predators, was being able to do that. And they do it quite easily, don't they? They don't have to think, oh, what should I do? No, they just think about doing that. So only in a herd situation when a horse has, another horse has had to have a bit of a chat with them and put them in their place, will they step like that. It's a submissive gesture. Like say I was a horse and he's a horse and he's just beat me up because I was near his food. I would probably like step away like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to turn my hind end away from you. Horses will not do that if they are prepared to do that. So mentally they have to be quite submissive when they step across like that. So that's the first thing we teach them to do. Off cues, not off force. Really what we're trying to do is get these horses to want to do what we're asking them to do instead of making them do what we're asking them to do. So if I step over here, he should just step over there like that. Very good. So that's the first place I start getting them to move. Once they can do that, then I want them to move all 4 feet. So if I point right here, he should just go. And he didn't. He's perfect this morning. What happened? Crowd of people, wind, all sorts of stuff. So now I can kind of go through how I actually taught him to do that. So I'm going to point here. When he doesn't go, I'm going to come over here with his stick and say, hey, you'd better get going. As soon as he goes, I'm going to stop asking him to go. He should just go around there and continue going until I ask him to stop. I don't want him pulling on this lead rope. I don't want him stopping. If he stops, I'm going to say, hey, you better get going again. But I don't want him, I want him to have a bit of a bend in his body. What dressage people would call straight, meaning he's bent in the same size circle as what he's going on. I want him to go forward without me having to keep urging him to go forward. But I only want him going forward at the speed I asked him to. I don't want him trying to go faster than I wanted. If I want him to stop, I should be able to just give him a real subtle little look right there, which is what I taught him initially. Remember when he was standing still? If I look at him like that, he should step over there like that. So that's how, so I basically teach him to stop before I teach him to go. So I'm going to point here, he should go, very good. You might notice, like I said before, once I ask him to go, he should continue going. You should continue going, thank you. So a lot of the horses I had this year, the problem horses I had, the older horses, the 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old horses, one of them, he kicked out at your leg a lot, okay? Well, guess what? In teaching him to do this stuff, when I said go and he didn't go and I said I need you to go, he would kick out at this. Okay, he did the same thing on the ground as he did on his back. By the time I got to ride him, he didn't kick out at anything because he took orders well. He took suggestion well. I asked him to go, he should just turn and go. If I point again, he should go faster. See that energy just come up from behind right there? I didn't have to niggle and plead and make him go. Whenever I ask him to go, he should go. If I ask him to stop, he should stop. If I ask him to go this way, he should just go. Then you can start combining things, like those are the very basics. Then you can kind of start combining things like, well, I haven't stopped for a second. So far I've taught him to move his hind end over and I've taught him to go forward, haven't I? Now I might do two things at once. I don't ever do something that requires two elements before I can do them both perfectly on their own. So I'm just going to point here. So he's going forward. So he's going forward in that circle, and before I asked him to disengage his hind end, so I might ask him to do a yield here to where he goes forward and yields that hind end over all at the same time. Okay, so I can do all that, and I've also had him stop and go the other way, haven't I? So I might have him do a sideways yield and a forward thing and a stop and go the other way all at the same time. I might have him do the same thing this way. I'm going to stand here, he should just roll back over his hocks and go the other way. Very good. So you're probably thinking, well, what good is that to me? My son's over here on the camera. Every day he comes home from school and he says, Dad, algebra. They've still got me doing algebra. What am I going to do with algebra? And I keep telling him, algebra is not important. the thought process you learn learning algebra is important. You're probably not going to use algebra in the rest of your life. A lot of this stuff, you're not actually going to use it, but it's making these horses very safe to start their riding career. You know, they're not spooky about things, they are not belligerent about things. You can basically ask them to do anything you want them to do, and they do it with a willing attitude. You know, there's a lot more stuff that I do, but you know, there's some of the basics, and those, for the most part, will take care of a lot of problems. You know, like you behave. Does that make sense? You know, a lot of this stuff this sort of stuff with horses, people call it natural horsemanship. I don't like that term. Mostly because it's been boxed and packaged and sold and resold and stuff. All I like to tell people is I like to train horses by observing the nature of horses, you know, knowing how horses think and what they do. If anybody's ever seen the dog whisperer, what's his name? Caesar. He's awesome, isn't he? Because he knows how dogs work. You know what I mean? He knows how dogs work. He doesn't call it natural dogmanship. It's just he's very aware of what makes dogs tick, and this is the same sort of thing. But what we're really trying to do with these horses is have them, like I said earlier, have them want to do what we want them to do. For instance, have I said whoa to this horse yet? No. Have I said stand still? No. He just has figured out that standing still there is probably the best thing to do. If I want him to go, he'll go. But if I don't want him to go, he just kind of goes back into neutral, kind of waits here for me. You know what? I usually, this is not a clinic, but usually at clinics I give one person at the clinic the secret to horse training. Is anybody here who'd like to know the secret to horse training? There's one secret you need to know. Okay, you can come out here. Hey Martha, can I get you to hold this horse for a second? Or Laura, can I get you to hold him for a second? So I'm going to have to, so if you can come in here, I have to turn my microphone off because I'm only going to tell one person this secret, okay? No one else is going to get the secret. So Laura, you just hang on to him. So let me turn this microphone off for a second. So let's turn the microphone off. So do you want to hear this secret? Okay, let me turn, I want to turn this microphone off so no one else can hear, okay? Now if you guys are good at lip reading, you might be able to watch my lips, but no one's going to hear what I've got to say.
Turn that way so they can't hear you.
Okay, so the secret to horse training. So does everybody, hello? Does everybody want to hear what I just said? I said to her, let's do it again, but I'm going to talk loud.
Okay.
I said, really softly, I said, the secret. I'm going to speak loud, but I whispered, I said, the secret to horse training. And you did what? She did that, and then I stopped and she did that, and I said, is that right there? Okay? I didn't tell her to follow me, I didn't tell her to come with me, I didn't tell her to stop, I didn't tell her anything. I just had her very, very interested in what I had to say.
Secret.
Yes. You can get it in now, thank you. So I didn't tell her what to do, but I made what I wanted to do her idea. I mean, I had this secret and she wanted to hear it and she had to follow me to hear it, and then when I stopped, she stopped. So she basically mirrored me. It's kind of the same thing leading horses. Thanks, Laura. You know, when I'm leading these horses, I want them to mirror me. So, let me get side onto you here. You know, so if I walk, they walk. If I stop, they stop. If I back up, they back up. If I go forward, they go forward. I like my horses to walk behind me. Reason being is, I just said, you know, I am very aware of the nature of horses. Ever seen 2 or 3 horses walking side by side in a pasture? No, they walk in single file. The one who's in charge, he goes in front, and the others follow him. If this one stops to eat some grass right here, the other ones get out of his way. You don't ever see that second horse run into the back of the first horse, because what's going to happen if he runs into the back of the leader? Whee! That's going to happen. Does that make sense? So I want to make sure that, you know, and this is one of the reasons this horse stands so still with all the crowd and the wind and all that sort of stuff, because he's paying attention to me. When I go, he goes. I stop, he stops. I start backing up, he starts backing up. But I don't have to say, you can't hear me? Did I lose you? Okay. So, but I don't have to tell him to go, I don't have to tell him to stop, I don't have to tell him to stand still. Just like this lady over here, he just does what I do because he's kind of interested in what I have to say. So anyway, that's just a quick, you know, place kind of where I start with every horse, and of course it goes on a long way from there, but that's the place where I start with them. I want them all very quiet and very respectful, and like I said, that takes care of most of the issues that you will have later on. So thanks for coming by, good to see you all, and I'll be over in the barn if anybody's got any questions.